What's up, Dolph fans, and welcome into another edition of the Drive Time Training Camp Special. I'm Travis Wingfield, writer for MiamiDolphins.com and host of the Drive Time podcast. On today's show, we're going to get you caught up on all the latest here from Davey, including roster changes, practice notes, all the big plays, and much, much more on this edition of the Drive Time Training Camp Special. There's been plenty of action on this field behind me here through 8 padded practices so far in Miami Dolphins Training Camp 2020. Plenty of big plays, offense and defense, and we start with a long bomb from quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick to receiver Preston Williams. Fitzpatrick found Williams down the field for a lengthy touchdown earlier this week in practice when he made a subtle ball fake at the line of scrimmage, pulling the cornerback up in coverage, and then Williams went over the top for the long touchdown. It hasn't just been the passing game that has produced big plays for this Dolphins offense so far here in Training Camp 2020. The running game has gotten going, as Brian Flores talked about in his media availability on Wednesday morning, how he evaluates backs for the way they can read blocks and spring cuts for big runs into the second level. Myles Gaskin did just that with a big run earlier this week in practice where he finished it off in the end zone for a touchdown, usually a good indicator that he believes he broke enough tackles and made enough moves to get 6 on the end of the play. Later in this episode, we're going to talk about the Dolphins' defensive line getting their big paws on some footballs and batting them down at the line of scrimmage, but it hasn't been exclusive to the defensive linemen. Linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel, in his second year, got his hands on a football in practice earlier this week and finished the play by pulling it down for an interception in red zone work off of quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Isaiah Ford has been a very dependable, reliable target for all the quarterbacks here at camp, and Ryan Fitzpatrick, Josh Rosen, and Tua Tagovailoa. We caught up with Isaiah Ford for an exclusive interview. And riding shotgun now on the Drive Time Training Camp Special is Dolphins receiver Isaiah Ford. Isaiah, thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me.
So how you feeling right now? We're in the middle of week number 2 here of padded practices. Has that initial soreness kind of subsided a little bit? You feeling good?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's like you said, it's at that point in time of camp where everybody's sore, everybody's feeling a little banged up, a little nicked up, but we just got to keep pushing through.
And I'm curious because this time of camp, it seems like maybe for players and people involved across the entire organization, it might be natural to kind of become not complacent, but maybe the feeling that creeps into your mind of like, I got to stack these days up back to back to back to back. How do you fight that possible complacency and continue on with the grind and your routine every single day?
Right. And I think the biggest thing, what has worked for me is, once I leave the facility to completely restart, once I get home, kind of try to do something to take your mind off of what happened at the facility. And then in the morning, wake up and you re-lock in and refocus and try to take everything one day at a time. What
do you do to get yourself refocused? Anything in particular you go to, like a Netflix show or something?
Actually, I've been watching The Last Dance. I've been watching that every day, and my girlfriend's at the house. She's probably getting tired of watching it with me, but I put that on every day for maybe about an hour and a half. And I've been pretty much watching the same episode over and over too. But doing that, and then in the morning, just refocusing.
One of my favorite stats from last year, I tweeted about it, I talked about it on the podcast, is the number of catches on targets and the production you had towards the end of the year as your production, like Devontae's, began to really take off in December. What would you attribute some of your success to last year in December, kind of making that jump and getting all those statistics on the board?
I think the biggest thing for me too was the confidence. Throughout having an up and down year, specifically throughout the season, and then just trusting in that the work that I was putting in was going to pay off, and trying to kind of stacking each day, like we talked about earlier. It's just taking everything one day at a time and letting those things add up to leading to where you want to be, and then Fitz trusted me. Fitz had a unbelievable confidence in me to go out there to be where I'm supposed to be and win when my number was called on, and then I think the more that we started to build that we just took off.
That's a perfect transition to my next question here, because I wanted to talk to you about your bond with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He talked about it a little bit at the end of last season. There was a quote after, I think, the Bengals, maybe the Patriots game, where he talked about your knowledge in the offense and kind of some of the things that you do to set the rest of the team up with that knowledge. Can you talk to us about that bond that you and Ryan Fitzpatrick have and kind of how it generated?
Yeah. So really, when he first got here in OTAs last year, we were kind of a few of the times we were kind of naturally on the same page with a few of those routes. And then as it began into training camp and everything like that, just seeing after, asking questions, trying to get an understanding for how he sees things on the field so that I can learn to be creative within my routes, but still match up with the timing of him and what he's seeing. And I think through doing that repetitively over and over after practice and during practice each day, we kind of built a pretty good rapport. And then I think once I was called up and I kind of got the opportunities at the end of the season, we just picked up right where we left off.
The last time you and I talked was about your Be The Change Foundation. Go ahead and just tell the fans what that's about and how it's going so far.
Yeah, so me and my marketing team, we came up with Be The Change scholarship that we're going to give to African American at my neighborhood school of Westside High School in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm pretty excited about that. We actually have a GoFundMe going on right now. The link for the GoFundMe is in my bio on Instagram, and it's on Twitter as well. So if you just click on the link, you could see the donations and you could donate, and we'd be extremely grateful for that.
All right, great to hear, Isaiah. We really appreciate you telling us about that and letting us know about the Be The Change Foundation by Isaiah Ford. Isaiah, that's all I got for you today, man. Appreciate your time. Best of luck this year. Stay healthy, and we'll see you out there soon.
Thank you so much.
Hands are obviously an important part of the game for wide receivers, but they also serve a purpose on the defensive side as well.
Hey, bro, you got some strong-ass hands, bro.
We saw those big mitts in action, getting their hands on plenty of footballs at the line of scrimmage, knocking the football down. Emmanuel Ogbah, Shaq Lawson, Andrew Van Ginkel, the entire Dolphins defense got involved in batting passes down at the line of scrimmage. New Dolphins defensive ends Shaq Lawson and Emmanuel Ogbah certainly use those big mitts to knock balls down at the line of scrimmage, but they also use those hands to their benefit as pass rushers and in the running game. Both guys work after practice, between drills, perfecting the craft of using their hands to displace the offensive lineman's hands of their own right and getting into that chest plate where they can really control the rep from there. Both players have used their rare blend of athletic traits, length, and power to become common presences in the Dolphins' backfield during practice. They both picked up a number of sacks throughout the course of the week, passes batted down at the line of scrimmage, and have been impactful in the running game, showing they're more than just one-trick ponies. By now, Dolphins fans are well aware of just how important head coach Brian Flores finds special teams to be. It might get lost in some of the training camp reports you read out there, but don't make any mistakes about it. This team reps special teams constantly on this practice field right behind me. And that special teams unit is led by special teams coordinator Danny Crossman. He's both a very vocal leader who drills the fundamentals of tackling, blocking, and beating blocks, but he's also been known to show his ingenuity.
The punter takes the snap, and then the toss to the end zone for the touchdown to the place kicker, Jason Sanders.
We are coming close to the end of Dolphins Training Camp 2020, and that's going to do it for us on this edition of the Drive Time Training Camp Special. Be sure to subscribe to the Dolphins YouTube channel and follow us on all the socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check out the Drive Time podcast and subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. For now, that's a wrap. Fins up.